Hi everybody, welcome back to another video. Today I'm very excited to be talking about a new brand we're dealing with here at Sevenoaks, Synthesis, and this beautiful Valve amplifier, the Roma 96DC+. Designed and manufactured in Italy, it certainly looks elegant, but does it have the sound quality to match? I'll confess that before this arrived, I had very little experience with Valve amplifiers and only the most basic understanding of how they worked or were different from the solid-state transistor amplifiers many of us will be used to. In a Valve amplifier, the musical signal is passed between two electronically charged plates housed in these distinctive-looking vacuum tubes to amplify the volume of the signal. The advantage of this approach is that you can produce a signal with very low distortion that performs particularly well at the power levels and volumes that people are most likely to be using the amplifier. When a Valve amplifier is really pushed to its limits, small amounts of distortion can be introduced, but in a way that we tend to find quite pleasing and is often described as the warmth that people associate with Valve amplifiers. This warmth extends beyond the sonic characteristics, however, as one of the features of Valve amplifiers is that they necessarily generate a lot of heat. The Roma 96DC+ is shown here with the unit off and the protective cage removed, but you should always leave this on when actually using the amplifier to ensure that nobody accidentally touches the valves and burns themselves. The downside of valve amplification is that it's not particularly energy efficient, and individual valves cannot generate huge amounts of power. The Synthesis Roma 96DC+ gets around this somewhat by using two valves for the power amplifier stage of each channel, arranged in what's known as a push-pull configuration. That means that the amplifier can deliver 25 watts per channel into 6 ohms. This may not sound like a huge amount compared to the specs listed on some amplifiers or the stated requirements of certain speakers, but having tested it on a fair few speakers in store, we found that this is more than enough power to get some quite impressive sound, but more on that later. Looking at the Roma 96DC+, the first thing you'll notice are these valves. The amplifier has 6 of them, 3 for each channel. These 2 small ones are responsible for the preamp stage of the amplifier, and the larger 4 are for the power amplification. On the front panel is the power button, a motorised volume dial, which means it moves in response to the remote control, and the source select buttons and indicators. Speaking of the remote, it's a simple but incredibly robust piece of equipment. This premium approach to the manufacturing is evident everywhere on the Roma. Weighing in at 18 kilograms, it feels reassuringly substantial, but there's nothing industrial about any aspect of this amp. There's barely a sharp corner on the entire thing, it's all rounded edges and smooth curves. On the back is the input panel. There's the power socket and the left and right speaker outputs. These will take bare cable or banana plugs. Looking at the inputs reveals that the Roma 96DC+ is a pretty well featured amplifier. There are a pair of line level analog inputs, as well as an analog line level record output and a dedicated phono input. This means that you can plug a turntable straight into the amp without having to go through an external preamplifier. The digital inputs ensure that this amp has a lot of flexibility. Using a high-quality DAC chip, that is a digital to analog converter, the Roma accepts high-resolution 24-bit sources via the optical and coaxial inputs, and the USB input allows you to connect up a computer and play music in these super high resolutions, meaning it should be able to play pretty much any music file on the market. The optical port means that you can easily connect the amp to a television, allowing you to get exceptional sound from your movies and TV shows, as well as your music. With a Valve amplifier, you do have to pay a little more attention to speaker pairing than you would with a transistor amplifier. That being said, I've been testing the Roma 96DC+ with a nice variety of the speakers that we have here in store, and have yet to come across anything that has even begun to give the Synthesis amp any trouble. The KEF LS50 Meta are probably the most difficult speakers to drive that we have here, but they sounded absolutely wonderful. I have raved before, and I will again, about how much I love these speakers, and the incredible levels of detail they naturally reveal are enhanced by the valve characteristics of the Roma amplifier. In our demo room, which is probably equivalent to a modest UK living room, I couldn't get the volume dial past the 12 o'clock point without it being deafeningly loud. The sound produced at more standard listening volumes was wonderfully dynamic, able to produce full and thumping bass lines, as well as beautiful textures and details in the quieter moments. Beyond the LS50s, I had great results with some bookshelf speakers like the Monitor Audio Gold 100s or the 706 S2s from Bowers & Wilkins. Looking at something a little bigger, whether it was the 603 S2 Anniversary or the 704 S2s from Bowers & Wilkins, the KEF R7s, or even the gigantic R11s, or perhaps the Gold 300s or the new Silver 300s from Monitor Audio, the Synthesis Roma 96DC+ was able to deliver a characteristically engaging sound. The ARIA range from Focal are particularly responsive speakers, so a great match for an amp like this, and the combination seemed to bring out something great from each. If you are concerned about how well the amp may match up with your speakers, get in touch with us or your local dealer, and they'll be able to advise you on the specifics. If you are looking to drive very large speakers to fill a larger space, or you do have especially demanding speakers, there is more to the Roma range than the 96DC Plus we're looking at here, with the Roma 753AC offering 50 watts per channel, and the Roma 510AC at 80 watts per channel. However, for most rooms and for most speakers, I think you'll find that the Roma 96DC Plus is not only up to the task, but delivers your music in an incredibly enjoyable way. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.